Hi everyone, I'm Catherine, the artist behind Bigelow Fine Arts. How is your coloring going? Are you following along? Let me know below how it is going so far. Today is the big day, not only for going through and getting this background finished, but to show off the final picture and how it turned out, if it did. I went through and hit all the stars with a layer of the Derwent drawing white. I know it will not keep them from getting colored over, but I was hoping to protect the stars a little. And since I wasn't feeling the color of the cream, I thought I would just go in with white. Feel free to skip this step if you have those Posco markers or other such white markers that you like to use over backgrounds. It will save a lot of time not having to go around the stars or having to go back and erase each layer. I ended up going back and erasing at each layer if I went over a star, so save yourself some time if you've got something else. My first layer for the background is the dark indigo over the rest of the background. Even with the white over top, I'm still being mindful to go around each star and clump of coral. I'm also trying to match into the blended section around the moon, but I won't be able to get a good blend until I have most of the layers in place. I'm trying something very different with the video since I didn't want to just show the same thing over and over and over again. This is going to be many layers to get this background in place, so I tried to splice the clips together to show the progression as I went through each color and across the page. I filled in the top portion of the background near the moon yesterday to get a feel for the background and the layers. I also put some odorless mineral spirits on top, hoping that would give me a nice smooth finish, and I kept my brush quite dry to prevent bleed through, but I felt it showed the strokes as much as just leaving the pencil alone. So your call on that, but I think I might just leave it alone in the end. Maybe if this was a smaller area of the background and I could put more layers on, I would go with it. My second layer is black, and I also want to make the right side of the background darker than the left side, so I am adding in an extra layer of the black on the second half of the background. Every time I sharpen my pencil, I try to remember to begin around a clump of coral, so I can then get in nice and close and into the smaller spaces better. Once I have that area blocked off, I can keep moving around on the background with a little less than sharp pencil. I'm not pressing hard, I'm just adding more layers to build up the color. When working on such a large area, this is when I really notice a difference between a sharp pencil and a dull pencil. When it is sharp, I can feel it bite into the paper more and I get a much smoother finish to my layer. But when it gets dull, I can feel and hear the difference. The pencil begins to glide over the paper and stops catching on the tooth. The finish becomes less smooth and I can see tiny areas of white begin to show through, like little pores in the paper. But over such a large area, there is no way I can keep my pencil sharp all the time to fill it in. One way to combat this is I keep turning the pencil to another edge that is slightly sharper, or changing up the angle of the pencil a little after I've gone all the way around as the tip is once again sharp. My third layer is the dark indigo again. I am also going to put in 2 layers on the second half of the background to make it even darker. I am using all the techniques I mentioned above, turning the pencil as I fill in the area. Something I didn't mention, but you likely saw, is I have a sheet of paper under my hand to prevent smearing. Any sheet will work, but this particular sheet is glassine and isn't supposed to pick up or stick to the artwork. I do find it picks up a little of the pencil dust, but better to have it on the paper than on my hand. I almost just need a glove made of this stuff so I'm not blocking the view with a huge sheet of paper. My final layer is the Delft blue. I'm going to work that up into the area around the moon to help the two areas blend better together. I have been doing this with each layer, and I only have to do this because I worked up one area differently from the other. I don't have to put 2 layers of blue on the second half, as by now the other layers have made it dark enough. I simply want the blue over top to bring everything together, and not have one section looking different from the other in terms of color. Kind of like the way it is with the moon. I'm also going to take the time to stand back and look for thin spots, or spots where the black seems to show through more or the blue is stronger. I will look at the blending between the 2 layers and add more black or indigo to make the 2 areas blend more seamlessly together. Standing back from my work, I can see all kinds of errors that, sitting up close, I miss. But up close, I can see that many of my stars have little halos around them, either from where I missed with the white, or from where I simply didn't get close enough with my pencils. So I want to make sure I am coming right up to the star. For the final touching up, I am coming back in for the flame. It is definitely not dark enough, but I already knew that. I am beginning with the scarlet on the tips of the flames and working that down to the base of the flames. I decided I wanted the tips to be a little darker, so I came in with some dark red to add a layer on just the top part of the flames, and that helped. I blended the red with the dark cadmium orange, bringing that up into the flames as well as down into the area around the front of the flames. I blend out the front with more ivory, as I want it to still be quite light in color, and adding more ivory protects it from other colors to a point, as you'll see later. I am now using the dark chrome yellow to blend out most of the flame from the base up to the red sections. And finally, with the cadmium yellow, I am blending out the base of the flame into the ivory and putting a light layer over the ivory to tint it. But I don't want it to be bright yellow. I really want the brighter ivory to make it look really hot. I also used the yellow up into the tips to blend everything together. And a final layer of ivory, almost as a burnishing layer. I am pressing a little harder than I normally do, as I really want to blend everything together more. And that is it! Here is the finished spread as I slowly pan around this large 2-page spread. I had a lot of fun with this, trying to seek out colors I hadn't used as much before and trying to stay within a smaller palette. I hope you followed along and finished this with me. Please let me know. I'd really love to know how your spread turned out. I'm on MeWe and would love to build a coloring community there with everyone to share art, talk art, and discuss supplies. I have my social media links below. Find me on Twitter, Instagram, MeWe, and Patreon, where you can share your art if you want. Patreon has a short write-up as well as all the palettes I am using and a list of the timestamps. It's available for everyone. If you have any questions or page requests, please leave them below or reach out to me on social media. I put in a list of chapter breaks in the show notes as well as a list of equipment I like to use. If you use any of my affiliate links, it really helps me out without costing you a thing. I want to thank you all so much for coming along and joining in with me on this coloring journey. I appreciate all my subscribers and look forward to more of you joining in and coloring along with me. Please like, share, and subscribe to help that happen. Until next time, happy coloring!